Empress, and thank you so much for tuning in to Segment Sunday. My name is Apriya Gallman. I am the founder and CEO of Apriya G Speaks Company, and I am the leadership coach and self strategist. My purpose in life is to help people discover themselves on a deeper level by asking the hard questions that enables them to become better, authentic leaders. I enjoy helping people learn more about themselves. I also have over 17 years of leadership experience and 8 years of self exploration leadership experience. I've had the opportunity to work within a Fortune 500 companies, work with mom and pop shops, and also work with nonprofit organizations for fraternities and sororities. And I must say, I enjoy speaking to people, speaking to audiences all across the United States and also on a global platform. I've also had the opportunity to speak at a Rho Mega Chi Christian Sisterhood for retreat. I've also spoken on the Women of Faith Speakers Association teleconference where I spoke on the authentic leadership. And every week I post motivational videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel at Apriya G Speaks. And this week I'm excited to be teaching what happens when your leadership gets challenged. Being in leadership is a great position to be in, and it can be a difficult position to be in the midst of being in a position where you're governing people, you're overseeing people, you're working with different and multiple personalities, you're working with upper, lower, mid management, or you're working with all women or all men or a diverse group of both men and women coming from all different cultures, creeds, tongues, and backgrounds. But there is a time in every leader's career, whether you're in ministry, you're in professional, in life, or just in general, there will be a time when your leadership will be challenged. And when your leadership is challenged, a couple things may or will happen. One, there is some type of conflict that's there, and the birth of that conflict can come from numerous amounts of things. Your purpose, your job as a leader is to get to the root of that conflict and tackle it. If you don't attack the root to that conflict, it will manifest a cancer of destruction within your organization, within your company, within your business, within your ministry, within your workplace, within your corporation. And if you don't tackle it, it can become and manifest a whirlwind of other problems. It's like having a root there, and the root has other little tiny roots that starts to manifest and grow deeper within the ground, and it starts to produce things that you do not want. If conflict is not handled immediately, it will manifest a cancerous destruction within your organization. Tackle it with excellence. That's number two. When your leaderships get when your leadership will get uh, challenged because there's a conflict that's there, get to the root of it. Number two, your folks will test to see if you are a leader of your word, if you are really truly a leader. I've been in places where I've tested my own leaders. I've tested to see if they were going to uphold company rules, if they were going to discipline, follow the company disciplinary actions, not to a serious degree, but just like, just to see if they're going to uphold and correct what needs to be corrected. And are they going to be stern about it, or are they going to be relaxed about it? And you have a lot of employees, colleagues, middle, and upper management that will do this. it comes off as being disobedient and being like, just all the way out there. But honestly, they're testing you to see if you are going to uphold the rules, laws, and regulations that your company or that you have set in place. When they do this, you're going to let them know a few key things. One, you're a leader that upholds a standard of excellence, meaning that whatever they're doing, whatever test that they're putting you through, you're going to sit them down and let them know you can no longer do this. We don't have that here. We don't tolerate this here. And this is what you did. This is what our company says about it. And this is how we can dispose of the situation. When you do that, your colleagues will have a higher respect for you as a leader. They will follow you and they will also know that you care. But be careful how you go about correcting them, that it comes out of discipline and not come off as aggressive, being spiteful, having a personal agenda. No, your leadership needs to be biased, need to be completely biased. Don't show favoritism because you like this one coworker better than this one, because you like their work ethic more than this one, or you like how they organize the files and present during a presentation, or you like how they have certain things. Don't get caught up in the characteristics of what people are putting out there, because that right there will trap you into favoritism. Okay? It will trap you into favoritism. And favoritism can really just go completely rampant. Soon as your team gets a whiff of favoritism, then that right there starts to just explode destruction within your organization. Do not. I give you this warning. Do not exercise that. You need to have a mutual ground with all of your team. You need a mutual ground with everyone and be fair across the board. Leadership is across the board. Leadership is not like this. It's not like this. It's not like that. Leadership is fair. Treating everybody all across the board fair. Also, number three. The third reason why your leadership gets challenged is because somebody else could think they know more than you. And sometimes they do know more than you. But it's always great when you have those people that know more than you or have a little bit more skill than you, that you have a great relationship with them, because now that gives them an opportunity to pour into you, and it gives you an opportunity to fine tune them. They may not know everything, you may not know everything, but together you all can become a beast. And when I mean a beast, I mean a beast of being the best. That's what I mean by that. So don't, always beat them down because, they're trying to upstage you, which, you have some of those who smell themselves a little bit too hard. We all know who those are. But you have to let them know and keep a nice tone with it. Don't come off like, harsh. Don't come off judgmental. Don't come off like, you don't know everything. Be like, okay, so I would like to hear your opinion about this. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. You seem to have you have a different perspective than I do, and you have a lot of great opinion. You have a lot of great suggestions to either expand or do this and that. I would like to hear your suggestions. That right there is setting the ground for them to really open up and share, but also know that their input is being acknowledged. It lets them know that you're listening. Being a leader requires strong listening. And as you continue to grow into your leadership position, there's going to be a time as your leadership is being tested that you're going to have your pearl irritated. And what I mean by that, there's going to be some irritation that comes within you because God is trying to get you to a point where things don't no longer irritate you. But as you know, anytime a pearl gets irritated, it starts to get activated to grow and manifest something a lot bigger. Be mindful of what irritates you and what frustrates you in your leadership position. I would highly suggest that anyone who is in leadership, whether you're the CEO of your own company, vice president, you're just starting out new business, or you're just trying to just get things together in order, I would highly suggest that you keep a tool, which is a vital spiral notebook, and take notes as to what frustrates you. Knowing what your irritations are, what your frustrations are, what your strengths and weaknesses are as a leader. As these things come up and you write them down, you're now putting yourself in a position to acknowledge it, you can tackle it, and you can defeat it. It's when you refuse to acknowledge what you don't know, what you refuse to deal with, what you avoid, is when you start having a lot of major problems and complications in your leadership. And when you start having problems and complications in your leadership will be tested 3 times as much, because people can sense when you are frustrated. Anytime your leadership is being tested, you have to remain calm. You have to have a strong self-control of your emotions. Do not let your emotions rule your leadership. Excuse me. Do not let your emotions rule your leadership. When you rule with your flesh, you will never build on a solid foundation. You will never build on a solid foundation. You will always have a problem that's so much more complicated than what it needs to be. You will never have the right perspective. You will always find an issue with something. And no matter who brings their talents to the table, they will never be good enough, because you're trying to meet them, their talents, with what your gut is telling, what your flesh is telling you. I've seen so many companies lose great people because their leaders ruled with their feelings instead of their judgment, instead of them being humble. Excuse me. Oh, bless me, Lord. Instead of them being humble and listening and taking notice of their gifts and their talents, of their people, and helping them manifest that within their organization or company, they put them on a back burner, put them in the box, and be like, look, I don't want to deal with you. I can't deal with you. And I don't want to be dealing with this. Get into a place where you are so self-disciplined with your emotions that a problem that once used to irritate you, you can govern over that problem with dignity, with sincerity, and also with excellence. My sinus is acting up, y'all, so excuse me. But anyway, you govern over that situation with integrity, dignity, respect, and excellence. When your leadership is tested, you will have to deal with problems that frustrate you, that irritate you, that gets on your last nerve. I mean, your very last nerve. And you will constantly deal with irritants that are going to work up some things within you that will affect you in your personal life, and it also will affect you in your personal, your business, and your spiritual life. All right, y'all. My sinuses continue to act up, but it's okay. We still gonna get through this. I hope that this my teaching is really helping y'all today. Let me turn this on mute. All right. All right. So, get to a point where you're constantly tackling the things that are frustrating you. And as you are working, dealing with, building, constructing, reconstructing, reorganizing, and preparing yourselves for your more, your greater, your best, your excellence, you do it with humility. No matter how much your leadership gets tested, always have a crown of humility and excellence on you. Those are the two. Oh, humility, integrity, dignity, respect, and excellence. No matter how much your leadership is tested, keep those 5 around you, within you, and on you. It's going to be within those 5 that's going to be challenged the most. You can be stern, you can be gracious, but you can also crack that whip and let them know this is not happening here. And there will come a time where you're going to have to just cut some people out because they're not fitting the expectation. They're not fitting the standard. Because you can have the expectation and you can have a standard. It's 2 different things. But you can cut people out that are not following instructions and directions after they've had their verbal warning, their counseling, and they've gone through your chain of disciplinary action. It's always great to have a resolution system in place when your leadership is being challenged, because this lets everybody know that we're all on the same page, we're on one accord, and this is how we're going to get things done. All right, so what happened? So one thing I always hear a lot of leaders say as their leadership is being tested, main thing I always hear them say, Apria, I'm a leader. My folks should not test me. They don't need to do all that. They just need to trust me in what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it. And I need them to just do as I say. If you listen to what you just said, why, when I hear that, something within me, it lets me know that there's some type of issue with trust. There's an issue with alignment, meaning everybody being on the same page. And there's also an issue with everyone working together on one accord. And there is an issue with what are the standards and the expectation and the rules and regulations of the organization, business, or company. If you constantly encounter your leadership is being tested, there is something much bigger that you don't see that is going on. It could be as big or it could be very, very small. We tend to overlook small details in business, ministry, personal life. But small details makes a lot of difference. And it's in those small details where we learn the most about our people. We learn if our systems that we set on the national scale are working. It's when we learn whether or not our people are able to actually execute the plans, strategies that national sets. And it also lets us know the training that our institutions set in place that we expect mid-management to execute to make sure that our folks, our employees are confident in the skill set of what the company is designed to create, has designed for them to be able to do. If we're not teaching them the skills that they need to be great at their jobs, our businesses will not flourish. When your leadership is being tested, you need to not only look at the bigger picture, but you need to look at the megapixels in your picture. If you look at megapixels, you know how small a megapixel is for a big digital picture. A megapixel is about that small, probably a lot smaller than that. But without that little small piece, you will always see that blank spot in the picture. And without those small megapixels within that bigger picture, you will not have any pictures. You will not have a picture at all. Every megapixel is an employee, a person, or in your company, business, organization, or ministry. Your people, your megapixels, all make up the bigger picture that involves your company, business, ministry, or organization. Without those megapixels being trained, told how to do things and how to get things right and executed properly, you will you will never receive or have a great picture, meaning you will not have a great company. When your leadership is being tested, you need to go back and ask your folks what is going on. If you are at the head of your company, and I challenge you to get out of your office and go talk to the people, the employees, not just management, your employees. I've been on all levels within a company. I've been in management and I've been the employee. Even though you're in management, you're still an employee, but there's a different level. Either way, when there was a problem, they always went to management. But honestly, your employees know a lot more problems that go on than sometimes your management do. It's the employees, the people who don't have the titles in ministry sometimes, that knows the issues and the ins and outs. They know the flaws of the company, or they know the flaws of the ministry. They know the flaws of the organization. And most of the times, they have a solution that will fix it. When your leadership is tested and you hear that there's an issue, a problem, or a flaw within your company, and there's people in that area that works in that company, in that area all the time, and they have a solution for it, listen and try it. Listen and try it. Try it out to see if it works. Listen and try it. If it's not something that you all are able to do at that time, iron out the kinks and make it work. We will not be able to see all things that goes on because of the hats that we hold in different positions, especially within ministry, leadership, and in business. However, there are people who operate and work in those areas for a reason, for a purpose. They're gifted for it, they're talented for it, they have the skill set for it, and they have solutions for it. I've been on the side of the table where I know I've worked in certain areas that these things were not working. Things that were coming from corporate were not working on our level. They set these plans, they set these strategic things in place, and it was just not executed. It didn't execute according to what they had set. You make a couple tweaks here and there to it, and it works flawlessly. When you're in leadership, never be afraid to listen to your people. When you're in leadership, it's important that you listen to your people. When your leadership is being challenged, you need to listen to what your folks are saying. You may not agree with everybody. Everybody may not agree with you. Your job as a leader is to cultivate the gifts and talents within folks and help them, train them, teach them, and educate them to use those gifts and talents to the best of their ability to a point that they didn't even know exist. Inspire them, encourage them, and motivate them to really get the job done and execute with excellence and recognize their hard work. Recognize the things that they do both on and off the clock and say thank you genuinely. When your leadership is being tested, you need to look at your recognition. Are you recognizing your folks? Are you recognizing their hard work? Not just in private, but also in public. Do you have a recognition system set up in place? Are you using a social media platform to let people know how great your folks are? What platforms are you using to let your folks know that our company appreciates your hard work? People do not leave companies, businesses, and ministries. People leave leaders. As you're watching this, I hope that you are really reflecting on your leadership skills, your leadership challenges, and your leadership things that frustrate you in your leadership positions. Think about the things that you can change, things you can incorporate. Having a great leadership system in place, having a great training system in place, having a follow-up system. So important that leaders follow up after training. Follow up. But when you follow up, this let your team know that it's important. Important. It lets them know that they're important, but it lets them know that you really do care about your company. You really do care about your organization. It's a difference when you have people who are excited, ignited about first getting hired, first start working in ministry, first start working in an organization. But as time goes on, people do grow very weary. And they either don't become as confident as they once were, or there's something else that's dragging them down, and it probably has to do with their personal life. Always talk and connect with your people. When you have a relationship, a respectable relationship. You have a respectable relationship with your team. It makes the performance a lot better. People will contribute to what they build. People will contribute to the things that they build. They're a part of something that's building. They're a part of something that's motivating, encouraging, and inspiring. They will contribute to it. How are you igniting your team to see how they are contributing to the vision of your company? Have you even considered what they can contribute? Not just for your own personal gain and profits, but how they can evolve as a person. That's the mentality of a leader. That's the mentality of leadership. You're not just thinking about profits. You're thinking about the people and how they can grow, how they can use their gifts and their talents to grow within themselves, but to also evolve. When they evolve, you evolve. When you evolve, they evolve. It's a lot more than that. I want to move into the Q&A session. I really hope that you all really enjoyed this discussion, this lesson on what to do when your leadership is challenged. And I hope that you all receive some really great tools to help you all and give you all a different perspective and insight as to how to tackle this. And I received some questions online. I put some questions out there, and I've had a couple people submit some questions to me, and I'm going to read them before I respond to them. And these questions, again, are coming from my own professional input, my own professional suggestions, and these professional suggestions do not reflect the views of the Apria G Speaks company, the Elevation Empowerment Network, or of the members of the Ascendant Society. Okay, so my first question comes from Christopher from Milwaukee. It says, "What system can I incorporate to avoid conflict?" What system can I incorporate to avoid conflict? Okay, Christopher, being in leadership, you cannot avoid conflict at all. You just cannot avoid conflict. Early on, I spoke about dealing with when your leadership is challenged. But anytime that you are in leadership, you will have some type of conflict somewhere with someone or somebody. It may not be with you or your team. It may be with members within your team, within your organization or ministry. And the system that you can put in place to tackle conflict. Never avoid conflict. Never avoid conflict. When you avoid conflict, it will birth roots to bigger problems and situations. When you avoid conflict, it will suffocate. It will suffocate and kill your business. It will suffocate and kill your ministry. And it will suffocate and kill your organization. You cannot be a leader and avoid conflict. That is not leadership. That is being a coward. If you really tackle conflict, you're not ready for leadership. You're not ready for leadership. Leaders tackle the problems and they tackle it head on. And when I mean head on, I mean they think twice before they react and respond. The system that you can put in place is, one, you need to acknowledge the system. You need to acknowledge the conflict itself. When you acknowledge the conflict, you are letting people know, one, I am concerned about this. Two, I care about this. Three, I care about you. And four, I care too much to let this go. Those are the four things that you are relaying a message to your people, to your team, when you are addressing conflict. So one, you need to acknowledge the problem. And when you acknowledge the problem, you need to have a counseling system. You need to have a system where you are having a disciplinary system in place. It consists of acknowledging the problem, a verbal conference, making sure that they understand the standards of the organization, company, business, or ministry. And four, you hear their side of the story. And five, you have a strategic plan in place that consists of a solution, a follow-up, and a follow-through. That is the system that you would have to have in place to tackle conflict, not avoid conflict. Because conflict that is not dealt with or tackled will become disastrous in your organization ministry, your business ministry. Okay? So I hope that answers your question, Chris. All right. My next question comes from Crystal from Washington, D.C. She's the CEO of a company, and she's having some her question is, why do people test your leadership? Okay. Ooh, excuse me. People test your leadership. Okay, so Crystal asks, why do people test your leadership? People test your leadership to see if you're a serious leader, to see if you're going to uphold the standards that your company, business, and ministry has set in place, to also see if you are, and also to test your character to see if you are actually the leader that you say you are, or that they've heard that they say you are, and also just to see if you actually care. That's why people test your leadership. And then you have some people who just enjoy just testing you, just to test you, to see how far they can push you. Those are the people that you would have really have to be on. You would have to really not be so focused on, but let them know immediately, tackle it immediately, that this is not tolerated. And if this continues to be a problem, then we're going to have to go to some type of disciplinary counseling. That's why your leadership gets tested. I also have another question from Ben in, what is this? Also, yeah, another question from Ben from Illinois. It says, why do what? Okay, why do you what do you do when your leadership is challenged? What do you do when your leadership is challenged? That's a good question. When your leadership is challenged, you have to remain calm. You can be stern, but you have to remain calm. One thing leaders have to understand is the fact that when people test your leadership, when people challenge your when people test your leadership, when people challenge your leadership, there's a lot of things that we don't see on the background that they're dealing with or tackling with, and it pours into their professional life and their performance, and it causes them to react in a way that is unprofessional. As leaders, we have to be able to empathize with our folks, but also be wise enough to handle and deal with it professionally to a point where it's not going to cut them, but it's going to correct them. And when you have your leadership challenged, you have to address it professionally. You have to remain calm, and you have to also address everything that is going on and it is wrong, but you also have to have your resources and your references in place. And what I mean by that is, if your member or a team member is doing something that is against company policy, it's imperative that you have your company's handbook in place on one side, and you have the areas that they've been lacking in on one side, and you highlight in that company manual what they're doing wrong, or what they're doing against company code and policy. When you do that, it lets them know that you're not nitpicking them. It lets them know that, okay, they're serious about what this company stands for. I'm going to be held accountable. My behavior is not welcome, is not tolerated. It will not be tolerated, but it will be dealt with. And also, I will be held accountable for my actions from this point on. And this is what I'm going to do to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable, to make sure that I don't have these things occur again. When you cite where they are doing wrong in your company book, whether it's your code of conduct, your bylaws, your company standards, human resources book, whatever, you need to have some type of source that lets them know exactly where they are doing wrong. That puts you in an area where, if you have your superior who's over you, if you have a chain of command, it lets them know that, okay, I've let them know where in our company handbook they have been being insubordinate at, or in our organization's bylaws or constitution. This is what they've been doing. This is what our company says about this. This is how we've handled it. This is the solution, and this is how we're going to follow up and follow through with it. And this is our follow-up date. When your leadership is challenged, that is the proper execution of that. Depending on the severity of what the challenge is, it will vary. But just keep your hands off your folks unless you are giving them a hug and it is professional. Whatever is within your company, whatever is in your company's, check your terms of sexual harassment, because if there's no hugging involved, like, a lot of companies are against folks touching each other. People read it a different way, or people take things differently. Don't touch them. But if you're in your business or personal life and you're the CEO and y'all have, like, you have that permission or whatever else like that, it could be a real touchy subject. But it's imperative that you let them know that you keep following up with them, to let them know that, okay, well, they're really serious about me developing my leadership skills, because that's what you're doing when you're following up with them, and you hold them accountable to what they say that they're going to do, and you're holding them accountable as to what they say that they're going to execute. Accountability is key. It's very key. Okay. All right. So I just received one more question. All right. Let's see what this question says. All right. And you all can email questions to at apriyagspeaks@gmail.com. I'm always happy to receive your questions in regards to leadership. It's a really great conversation. I really hope that you all receive a lot of great things from this teaching, from this segment Sunday. All right, so we have this question coming from, we have a question from Nigeria. Okay, this question says, let me see, what she write? All right, this question says, I am a leader in a small company. I have a small team and we're always working on our goals. I find my team to be stagnant when it comes down to meeting the company standards. As a leader, how can I get my folks to really move into a direction that's going to help us grow as a team and help us perform better in management? Help me perform better in management. Thanks. I cannot pronounce her name. Okay, let me see. Akuraku Rabe. Okay. All right. So, I hope I read that right. Please forgive me, y'all. I'm just not good with, I'm working on my pronunciation with different names, but please forgive me. That's what she has here. Okay. That is a really great question. All right. What you can do as a leader. One, gather your team together. Call a team meeting. Have your team, ask your team a couple questions and have all of them put their answers anonymously on index cards. This is a great way to get your team's input about the things that they are not comfortable with, things that they need to work on and improve, and skills that they are not confident in. Once you do that, you can then ask them solutions to situations and problems that they may have and put on the table. And as a leader, this will be a great way for you to tweak certain things and use your expertise to really help them build up their strength to tackle their insecurities that may affect their performance. Once you do that, you let them know, you break down the goal and give everybody a piece of the goal. So if you will have a sales goal, you have a team of 5, and you will have a sales goal of $5,000. You break that goal down by quarter, by week, by quarter, month, and day, and you do it per person. That way, not one person carries the burden of the load, but everyone is able to pull their own weight and tackle their goal. This will help them build their confidence in themselves. It helps them contribute to to the team, and it also puts the team on a great map to meeting or exceeding company standards. And you do this consistently. It's always great to go a little bit below the goal as far as estimating wise. And once you all exceed that goal, it really helps them build their confidence. Now, I don't mean like, underperforming. I mean underestimating and overperforming. That builds confidence. Once you do that, it's great to find out, put their insecurity, like one thing that they're feeling really insecure about, on the index card anonymously, and write an affirmation that puts that insecurity in a positive. Meaning, I'm not a somebody. If somebody on your team say I'm not a good seller, on an index card, they would put and read out loud, I am a great seller. Studies show when you put an affirmation after I am, it's a strong and powerful confession, and you're manifesting whatever they're speaking into existence. And you continue to speak it until you see it. It's them talking to themselves, it's them encouraging themselves, and it's also them really developing their it's them developing their leadership skills, involving them building up themselves first. When you build up yourself first, you begin to evolve into an authentic leader, because you know who you are, you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and you use your strength to overcome your weaknesses, and you're constantly evolving to become a better person, a better leader. And once you're a better person, you can be an authentic leader because you are genuinely who you are and your leadership skills are on point. Once you do that, you as a leader, of course, will have a little bit more work to do than they do, but you constantly encourage them and you recognize them in person. You recognize them in public, and you also recognize them respectively in private, meaning that if they did something well, if you have John who's exceeding the sales goal, you let him know. John, you go up to him and you say, John, you're doing a great job. Congratulations on exceeding the sales goal. Keep up the great work. That lets them know that you notice what they're doing, and you notice that their contributions to the team is important. I hope those answered your questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the first segment Sunday for uh, the Ascendant Society. And I hope that you all join us next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to Kamisha James, who is a financial expert, and she's an incredible bookkeeper. She helps small businesses get their books together, their books in order, and she gives some phenomenal, encouraging, insightful advice in the finance world. My name is Apriya Gallman, a leadership coach and a self-strategist. You can connect with me on Facebook by liking my page at facebook.com/Apriya G Speaks. That's APRIA G Speaks. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Apriya G Speaks. Click subscribe and you'll receive my weekly motivational videos, either on encouragement, leadership, or self-exploration. You can also follow me on Twitter and Periscope at Apriya G Speaks CO. And also follow me on Instagram at 320 Happiness and use hashtag Apriya Gallman Live. And also you can use hashtag Ascendant Society, and you can also use the hashtag for tonight, Leadership Challenged. Not Leadership Challenge, Leadership Challenged. And I'll put it down for you all so you all can see it. having you all go online to review. Okay, leadership challenged. Okay, I hope that you all have a great day. Please post your comments below about this video. If this video has helped you, you enjoyed the tips in the lesson that was taught today, let me know in the comments below. You're welcome to send me an email at apriagspeaks@gmail.com. Put in the subject title Leadership Challenged Video, so I know that you watched the video, you have your comments, questions, or concerns, and I'll also take more additional questions. And I hope that you all have an incredible rest of your week. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember, make every day a success, because success is progress.